Next lesson. Welcome to class 5. And we are going to focus on emotions for this class. So, we have been taught really that we should not feel. Poor men, because men have really been taught that they shouldn't feel. And women are called, too emotional, you're too emotional. And we want to start to really acknowledge that feeling is human. We are the only species who needs to learn how to manage emotion. For every other species, they just have emotion and it goes. A dog, think about a dog when it has emotion. We had a very reactive dog and he would go into crazy mode. He attacked other dogs and then, 1 minute later, he was fine. That does not happen for humans. We are a species that needs to know what to do with emotion. And emotions are things that we feel in our body. But the thing is that a lot of us aren't comfortable with feeling emotion. We want to get comfortable with feeling emotion. Emotion is normal. Emotions are good. They might not all be pleasant, but all of them are good. The only problem per se with emotion is how we choose to handle it and what we do when we have them. So if you are a person who, when you feel angry, needs to release it out on someone else and you yell at someone, or you do that cold shoulder, or you ignore, or you run away, what part of the brain are you using to manage emotion? Reptilian part, right? So you're in the amygdala. We want to start to notice this. So the other thing that happens though with emotion is that we have this reaction and we're either going to, fight it, or we're going to drown in it, right? So we have these two places that we go when we feel emotion. So we're either going to be overwhelmed and that's usually happens with sadness. And when we're sad, we'll go and shut ourselves away. We don't want anyone else to know that we're sad. We don't want to share it with anyone. And scientists have proved that that is the worst thing to do when you are sad. When you are sad, what you want to do in order to feel better is share it with someone. But we know too, we can't share it with everybody, but we want to share it with the people who we are close to, and they don't need to solve our problem. We just want to be able to be heard. That's what we want. The other side of that, so that's when we drown in the emotion. We also go into that would be victim mode. Right? When something happens, you're going to blame it on someone else or something. It's never, you don't feel empowered. Then the other side of that is to block. So when we block emotion, it's no, I'm fine. No, I don't even know what you're talking about. No, it doesn't affect me. But it does, and it affects our body. And when we feel emotion and we do those two things, that emotion is still stored in our bodies. That's one of the coolest things I learned through this work, is that emotions are stored in the body. If emotions are stored in the body, that is why we get triggered when things happen. So when things in the present moment happen that were similar to things that maybe happened when we were a kid, we have this automatic response. And it is because there is a stress response there that has been stored in the body and it's never healed. We didn't know what to do with it. So it comes up again, and we may not even be consciously aware that it is coming up. It just is this reaction pattern that we've always had, and we think that it's just who we are. But what we can do is actually address the stress response. We can address the feeling in our body, the emotion, and when we feel, we can heal. But we cannot think our way through emotion. We need to feel it. And that is really scary. I can't tell you how many times I have, just sat there crying or felt really angry and was downstairs like screaming. I always put music on and like punch pillows. I do this in the privacy of my basement, but this is ways to release emotion. We don't want to release it on our loved ones, and that's the most awful thing, is that usually we keep it together for everybody out in public, and then we are our worst in our homes. Our family, those we love, get the worst of us because we're so worn out from being out there and keeping it all together that then we come home and we have no more willpower to be able to operate compassionately and with patience, because it's done. We did it all day, and we can't do it anymore. So I want you to know that that is all normal, and we can do something about it. But it takes work. We have to get comfortable with feeling the sensations. A lot of my clients are anxiety. They feel a lot of worry in their body. And sometimes even under the worry and the anxiousness is anger that was never addressed, especially with women. We were taught not to be angry. Sugar and spice and everything nice. And then for men who I see, a lot of the times it's them connecting to that softer side of themselves because they've been told that they have to be, strong, and they need to be the provider, and they can't show emotion. And that's a real dissonance there. We need balance. We need balance. We need to be able to feel. Men are not supposed to be robots who just earn money and, play sports. We want the whole. We want everything. And this is the difference between like the 1950s and now. We want to be able to be whole. And we are all parts masculine and parts feminine. We have both energies. And when we work best when the two are able to work together. So when we start to learn how to manage emotion, we're going to be able to integrate ourselves. We're going to be able to feel. And I want you to be able to be brave and to be courageous. And the V word, vulnerable. It takes being vulnerable in order to feel emotion. And we want to do that with people who we feel safe. So we want to know too that, we are holding this emotion in ourselves, in our body. And in order for us to heal it, we need to feel it. We need to get comfortable with it. And we can do it a little bit at a time. It doesn't have to be misery. We just start to get brave. This is what I teach people, that it's okay to feel. It's okay to let yourself be sad. It's okay to let yourself feel anxious. There's nothing wrong with you for having feelings. It's the thought process behind them, or the thought process that starts them, that really interferes with our ability to feel. So we're going to practice today feeling. And when we practice being one with emotion, there's a little fly here, one with emotion, when we start to get brave about feeling emotion, we want to be able to use our prefrontal cortex to help us with that, instead of going into that fight, flight, or freeze mode, right, and getting locked down into the amygdala. And when we do that, we're going to feel more connected to ourselves. We're going to feel more connected to others. It's a really, really good feeling, and I want you to feel it. So let's practice this. So I invite you to close your eyes. So this is called embodiment. Embodiment is connecting to your body and allowing yourself to feel. It's the connection of mind, body, heart, spirit. So I want you to just notice how you're feeling in your body right now. Notice if there's any parts of your body that feel tight or heavy. So I remember when I first started this practice, there was heaviness in my chest all the time, and it scared me. It made me think that there was something wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with you. You're just afraid to feel. So just breathe. Remember those nice long exhales. And you can say to yourself, this is an emotion. I want to start to use my prefrontal cortex to help me with emotion instead of my amygdala. So breathing in, and we just get comfortable with it. We accept it. Yeah, I have this tightness in my chest. Don't go into the story, just stick with the sensation. Right? The story is the thinking, and we know the thinking F's us up. No thinking. Stay in the body. It's safer. And if it gets too overwhelming, just find another part of the body to focus on that might feel neutral. You might feel into your feet and just feel, oh yeah, they feel warm. Let me just stay there for a minute, feeling the warmth. So little by little, we can get braver with feeling in our body and accepting feelings. There are no bad feelings. They are all human. And in order for us to be able to feel happy, we need to know what sadness feels like. In order for us to feel brave, we have to know what discouraged feels like, and vulnerable. And vulnerable is a good word. It isn't a bad word. So take another nice, long, slow, deep breath. And thanking yourself for just understanding that emotions are good, all of them, and I can get brave with feeling them in my body. Thanks so much. I'll see you next time.